Hi everybody, this is Module 13, my case study. I'm Christopher Dirks and this is for EDL 853. So in the case study, quick summary. So the people that were involved are Miguel Hernandez, he's the student. Mr. and Mrs. Hernandez are Miguel's parents. Dr. Harvey is the superintendent. Ms. Gusman is Miguel's counselor. Howard Carey is Miguel's attorney. It takes place at Nottingham High School, which is the only high school serving the Dover area. And the situation, so the Hernandez family moved to Dover so their four boys could attend Nottingham High School and be part of the football program. Miguel's the oldest son. He's a sophomore. And he's the starting quarterback for the football team. And that's the first time that a sophomore started on the football team. He gets injured during a game and paralyzed. He's now in a wheelchair. He has to miss some school, but he keeps up with his academics. When he returns to school, the principal, which is me, gives him an award. He heads to his class and he's surprised to find out that his schedule got changed without his permission and without the permission of his parents. In that process, the counselor's really not looking out for the well-being of the student as far as academics go. And the family gets a lawyer and meets with me, the principal. Legal and ethical issues. So equitable access to resources. So sort of FAPE is not happening there. A 504, Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act is in violation. And then another legal aspect of this is the compensation or the responsible parties for the injury. And that's a tricky one because it's involved in athletics. So ethical issues. Changing the schedule without permission, that shouldn't ever really happen. It shouldn't be a surprise to a student. There's no plan. There was really no plan prior to returning. Surprising Miguel with the meeting as he's trying to figure out how to navigate the school in his wheelchair. All of a sudden he's out of a class, so that's not very ethically acceptable. And then a little bit of discrimination just because he's not getting the services that he needs, and he's limited in what he can do now because he's in a wheelchair. So exactly what happened, Miguel Hernandez was injured in a football game, became paralyzed, completed rehab, returned to school, and got moved out of his college prep class due to a lack of wheelchair access, denying him equitable access to resources. So that's sort of in a nutshell what's going on. Synthesizing the facts. So Miguel Hernandez is a sophomore college-bound student. He's the starting quarterback on the football team, and that's the first sophomore to do that. He was injured and paralyzed during a game and now is not receiving the education he was prior to his injury. Mr. and Mrs. Hernandez moved to Dover with their four boys. They wanted to take advantage of the strong academics and football program. They're unhappy with how the school handled the situation. Dr. Harvey is the superintendent, and he's got a lot of support from the community for the school and especially for the football team. Ms. Gusman made decisions without the parents' permission. She surprised Miguel with a meeting and a change of class, and they're limiting Miguel's potential by putting him in a mainstream class versus a college prep type of class, and it's just because of the limited access to that classroom. Howard Carey is the attorney, Miguel's attorney. He's ready to fight for Miguel and look out for his best interests, his well-being. Outlines basic needs that the school is lacking to provide. He came to the meeting kind of with his own agenda and opened up with some areas where the school was lacking right away. Nottingham High School, so where this is all taking place, it was built in the 1950s. It's kept 3/4 up to date, so they're lacking funds to update the last fourth of the school, which means the access to the building is not up to code really. It serves about 3,200 students. There's 6 elementary schools, 2 middle schools that all funnel into the same high school. It's a rural area. It's got a strong football program that's supported by the community. It's known for its academics. Mr. and Mrs. Hernandez found this school by looking at the top schools in the area, and this was on the list. Relocatable trailers provide more space for students because of the lack of funds to upgrade the building. Some synthesizing continued. Miguel, so things we know he's paralyzed, we know he's on track to go to college. We know he got his schedule changed and we know he's in a wheelchair. What we don't know is does he want this schedule change? Maybe this is something where he feels like there's too much on his plate right now and he needs a more mainstream class anyway. And did he get a 504 plan? We don't know that. Mr. and Mrs. Hernandez, we know that they moved to Dover for the school. They're disappointed with the decision the school made, and they feel like the school is not advocating for Miguel. And the unknowns here are they acting on Miguel's wishes versus acting on where they thought they were wronged. Ms. Gussman changed the schedule, met with parents, and did not mention a schedule change. So what we don't know there is why didn't she get consent from the parents before changing the schedule? And if she did not, why? Oh, sorry. If he did not, why didn't Miguel get a 504 plan? That would be a counselor question. Dr. Harvey is the superintendent, and why is he not more involved is something we don't know. Me, the principal, I presented Miguel with an award. I met with the parents. I am meeting with the parents to discuss the change without consent, and I'm currently evaluating the situation. What we don't know about how I handled the situation is why did I honor Miguel with an award but ignore the more important part of him feeling accepted in his new situation? So rather than focusing on honoring him with an award when he comes back for football and his academics, why don't I really focus on supporting him in his transition back to school? Howard Carey, we know that he's versed in educational law. He's looking out for the well-being of the student, and he came into the meeting with an agenda. He knew what he was going to sort of attack the school with. What we don't know is does he know all the facts and what are his intentions? So is he looking to make the parents money? Is he looking to really help Miguel? We don't really know a lot about Howard Carey. Nottingham High School, we know it's an old building. We know it's lacking funds to get updated. We don't know where the biology classroom is, just based on the information we were given. As the principal, I would know that. Is there an alternate location where Miguel can take the same course? And what is the technology like in the school? And then we've talked about what the schedule is. Review and prioritize. So this situation could have negative effects to the school, the teachers, Miguel, the community relationship, the counselor, and the Hernandez family. So there's a lot of moving pieces here. The groups with an important stake are the Hernandez family, the school, and Howard Carey. Relevant stakeholders, the classroom teacher, the counselor, the family, administrators, lawyers. So really all of these decisions affect every group. What else do I need to know to evaluate? So I would like to know Miguel's goals. I'd like to start with that. I would like to know the family's expectations, the lawyer's plan, and then scheduling flexibility is something that I think I could find out from the school, my school really, to help with create some ideas. And do I know enough to make a decision? At this point, I would say no. I think I need to meet with Howard Carey. I need to meet with Miguel. I need to meet with the parents. I need to get more information from Ms. Gussman to figure out why we're in the situation that we're in. Maybe there's something that everybody's missing. So no, I don't think I know enough yet. So knowing what I do know, some options: do nothing, let the powers that be handle the situation. Some possible consequences there would be lawsuits against the school, losing a counselor, loss of community and family trust, loss of credibility. So lots of negatives with just doing nothing. The student misses out on free and appropriate public education. I could change the schedule back, switch Miguel back into the original biology class. The lack of funds keep the classroom inaccessible to Miguel. He might lose motivation to get to class. Family becomes increasingly unhappy, so lots of pushback there with the change back. Move the biology class, so that period, see if there's another room available that's wheelchair accessible that our teacher could teach the class from. Consequence there would be pushback from the teacher, lack of resources in a new location, limiting other students potentially if maybe there's no lab stations in a classroom that would be available. That the students that were in the original class would be missing out on that opportunity. Build wheelchair access for the room. So that probably should be something that would happen, needs to happen anyway. But moving funds around to make that a possibility. Something else would lose funds, and there's a disruption to learning. Time may not permit it. Miguel takes the class remotely, so he could use technology to take the class via Google Meet or Zoom. Funding may not permit it. Parents still may say this is not acceptable. And legally, we need to look into if that was acceptable. So kind of evaluating the options. It seems like taking the class remotely, building wheelchair access would be kind of the first two, kind of green. That's why they're green there. Those would be the best options. I think changing the schedule back has too many issues. I think moving the class is not fair to the rest of the students or the classroom teacher. That's a big ask. And then do nothing, I just don't feel like is an option here. So in my opinion, the best option would be to take the class remotely. Miguel and his family have a valid case in advocating for their son. And if we can find a way to have Miguel in an alternate location taking the same class, I think that would be probably the best option. With the new educational platform, we will need to assemble an IEP team and create a 504 to evaluate any accommodations he might need. While this should have already been done, the technology piece would call for a revamp and new expectations anyway. Because this involves more than just Miguel, his family, and the lawyer, I would have to involve the classroom teacher and the counselor in this process. So this is another big ask of the teacher to provide an online portion of a class just for one student. So pushback there, but I think it's going to be the best option. If this is something that wouldn't work out, I think Plan B would be find the funds to build some sort of wheelchair access to the current classroom to get Miguel back into that room. So implementing this decision, prior to implementing this plan, I would need to discuss and inform the teacher, the counselor, the district special ed director. And so I would, at this point, with a lawyer already involved, I would run everything by the district special ed director. The teacher needs to be on board, and I would help with providing support for that teacher because this is not going to be an easy move. And the counselor needs to definitely be on board as well and support really anything at this point if something was overlooked on her part. I need to organize an IEP team, a 504 plan, and get the technology. So I know right now is probably a time when most schools have technology, but if we were in a situation where the technology wasn't available to every student, we would need to figure that out. And I need to prepare for implementing Plan B. If things don't go right, that would be building wheelchair access to the classroom. I would need to be prepared for financial requirements, whether that's buying the new technology or building the new ramp. Teacher and parent pushback. I think with any plan, there's always going to be pushback. And so kind of looking at things from different perspectives would help prepare me for that. Once all of the above is in place, I'll meet with the parents and Miguel alone, then schedule a follow-up meeting with the counselor and teacher to take the final steps to implement. If this plan is not accepted, we will need to discuss moving forward to create a wheelchair access to the classroom. At the end of the day, we need to focus on doing what it takes to look out for the well-being of all of our students and provide them with access to resources to support their educational success. So that is my case study. Thank you for your time.